Coping with stress in the middle of the adolescence. Stress. Stress is a feeling of emotional or physical tension. It can come from any event or thought that makes you feel frustrated, angry, or nervous. Stress is your body's reaction to a challenge or demand. In short bursts, stress can be positive, such as when it helps you avoid danger or meet a deadline.
Type of stress. First, general stress. Everyone has this stress. Resolve in a day or two. No intervention required.
Cumulative stress builds up in your body, become more difficult to alleviate your symptoms, more serious psychological problems. Acute traumatic stress, critical incident stress, produce psychological distress, abnormal reaction to normal situation.
Post-stress traumatic stress. Severe stress produce severe psychological trauma. Produce lasting change.
Use stress refers to a positive response one has to a stressor which can depend on one's current feelings of control, desirability, location, and timing of the stressor. Stress response. Stress as stimulus, respond, and relation. Aside from being a reaction or response, stress is also a stimulus as well as the relation condition between person and the situation. They are in Fisk and Rosenberg's 2020 zero. Stress a response in the way the body reacts to challenging situation. This involves the interaction between the hormones, glands, and nervous system, where the adrenal gland drives the production of cortisol, or better known as stress hormone. Health concerns. To some adolescents, health may be a problem. Health problem may run a gamut of varieties, such as unwanted pregnancy, HIV, and other sexual transmitted disease, unhealthy lifestyle, such as poor eating and sleeping habits that often lead to lifetime disease, and so on. Not using protection like condom because of HIV. Not using protection like condom. How to prevent HIV. Use a new condom every time you have sex. Use a new condom every time you have anal or vaginal sex. Consider the drug trivia. Tell your sexual partner if you have HIV. Use a clean needle. If you're pregnant, get medical care right away. Consider male circumcision.
Keep stress under control. Health stress. Stressors have a major influence upon mood, our sense of well-being, behavior, and health. Acute stress responses in young, healthy individuals may be adaptive and typically do not impose a health burden. However, if the threat is unremitting, particularly in older or unhealthy individuals, the long-term effects of stressors can damage health. Healthy ways to cope with stress. Feeling emotional and nervous or having trouble sleeping and eating can be all normal reactions to stress. Here are some healthy ways you can deal with stress. Take care of yourself, eat healthy, well-balanced meals, exercise on a regular basis, get plenty of sleep, give yourself a break if you feel stressed out. Talk to others, share your problems and how you are feeling and coping with a parent, friend, counselor, doctor, or pastor. Avoid drugs and alcohol. This may seem to help with the stress, but in the long run, they create additional problems and increase the stress you are already feeling. School demands and expectations. Most high grade level students feel stress. Why? Because they feel they lose control their activity like quizzes, tests, homework, projects, oral recitation, quarterly final exam, and more. How to manage stress? Take time for self-care, proper sleep, and proper eating. Bullying. Being bullied in school can be very stressful and may cause emotional and psychological trauma to the individual experiencing it. Two types of bullying. One, physical, and two, verbal. This stress implies mental or physical strain imposed by pain, trouble, worry, or the like, and usually suggests a state or situation that can be relieved. This stress caused by famine. Suffering stresses the actual enduring of pain, distress, or tribulation, the suffering of the wounded, Agony suggests mental or physical torment so excruciating that the body or mind is convulsed with the force of it. In mortal agony, anguish has equal force but is more often applied to acute mental suffering, the anguish
Game na
of
to.
despair.
Brain power. Learn to change your thinking. Make all your doing by positive thinking. Don't be negative, always positive. Make your time organized, set a schedule for your homework, etc. This make you a organized person. Selecting a school, college course, or career. Fresh graduate experience stress of anxiety because of things. 1. Deciding on what course or university. 2. Taking of entrance exam. Techniques for stress entrance exam. Turn off all your distraction, uncluttered table, make flexible shed for study, concentration exercise, use skinning notes. How to decide school and course. Basic tips. First, know your passion. Second, know your strength and weakness. Third, never choose a course because of peer pressure.
Separation of anxiety. Many senior high school students have anxiety because of separation from their place, friend, and etc. How to cope anxiety. 1. Pay attention to what's happening and how you are feeling. 2. Take some calming deep breaths. 3. Don't avoid, you can do it. College life. Freshmen cause stress because of adjusting to new school, people, and informality of a new environment. Tips for freshman college. 1. Make lists and to-dos. 2. Use a planner. 3. Study your journal. 4. Read book. 5. Get a good night's sleep. 6. Read inspirational quotes. 7. Exercise. Romantic relationships or lack of it. Adolescents have tendency to feel awkward then they are not special relationships with someone. Common problem, adolescents. 1. Social phobia. 2. Anxiety disorder. 3. Depression. Essential tips for adolescents people. 1. Keep your high standard high. 2. Be careful about contact. 3. Think for yourself. 4. Always listen. Coping with stress. Progress and issues in the study of coping with stress during childhood and adolescence are reviewed. Definition of coping are considered and the relationship between coping and other aspects of responses to stress. Example, temperament and stress reactivity is described. Questionnaire, interview, and observation measures of child and adolescents. Coping are evaluated with regard to reliability and validity. Studies of the Association of Coping with Symptoms of Psychopathology and Social and Academic Competence are reviewed. Initial progress has been made in the conceptualization and measurement of coping, and substantial evidence had accumulated on the association between coping and adjustment. Problems still remain in the conceptualization and measurement of coping in young people. However, an aspect of the development and correlates of coping remain to be identified. An agenda for future research on child-adolescent coping is outlined. PsycInfo Database Record 2016 APA All Right Reserved. So this is the symptoms of being coping and stressful. Disbelief, shock, and numbness. Feeling sad, frustrated, and helpless. Fear and anxiety about the future. Feeling guilty, anger, tension, and irritability. Difficulty concentrating and making decisions, crying, reduced interest in usual activity, wanting to be alone, loss of appetite, sleeping too much or too little, nightmares or bad memories, recurring thoughts of the event, headaches, back pains, and stomach problems, increased heart rate, difficulty breathing, smoking or use of alcohol or drugs.
Que onda tu pecho arriba, las manos, caballo moreno, penetra tu